Hi everybody, it's Julie. Welcome to Hello Monday. I haven't made a clear card in what feels like forever, so I wanted to do one that had kind of a window effect and some texture to it, as well as a rainbow, because I've seen so many really fun rainbow cards all over the interwebs, and I think they're so cute. And I was like, I gotta make me one of those. So I decided to go this route. I'm going to take a piece of Essentials by Ellen crystal clear plastic, and I'm going to sandwich that into my embossing folder. Now I just grabbed one randomly out of my bin. This one has a nice tight triangular pattern, but you could use any embossing folder you have. And I ran that through the Big Shot, and what I didn't realize was that it was going to curl the acetate a little bit. But I should have anchored it down when I started the next step of coloring, but I was so excited I just wanted to keep going. So I'm just using my hands to hold it down flat while I color it. So I'm using Copic markers to create my rainbow effect, and they will dry, but they also take a little bit of time because this is a non-porous surface. So I'm going from red, orange, yellow, green, and then blue. And the colors are listed over in the classroom so that you know exactly what colors I use, but you could use any combination that you wanted to create a rainbow effect. This is kind of like my tried and true fail-proof method of making a rainbow. If I always go in this order, I'm always happy with the rainbow I get. So that's why I did it like this. So I colored on the back side, which is the indented side, and then the triangles, when I flip it over to the other side, the triangles will be raised on that side. So I just wanted you to see against the white paper there what it looked like when it was finished. So while that's drying, I'm going to go over and get my base card ready. I'm going to cut my cardstock down to 8 1/4 or no, 8.5 by 4 1/4. So I have a 4 1/4 inch square card. And then I cut a window using the Pierced Squares die by Avery L. through a piece of white cardstock and then through the front of my base card because I wanted to create a window going through the whole thing. And as I grabbed my transparency, I noticed I was transferring some of that Copic marker because there was, oil or moisture on your fingertips, and it was reactivating some of that Copic marker. So I had to take a tissue and kind of blot some of it away. A lot of it was dry, but some of it was still there. And if you have any moisture on your fingers and you've really coated that thing, like I did with alcohol ink, you may get some transfer there until it has had time to completely dry. So blotting it is a good idea. And now I can move on. I'm going to actually take some tape. This is the 1/4 inch Be Creative tape, and I'm going to line the perimeter of my openings here so that they're ready to go. I'm just making sure everything's nice and square. And I'm going to crease that fold line. This is 110-pound cardstock. In hindsight, I might have used just 80-pound because the 110 is pretty heavy, but I went ahead and it worked out just fine. I'm going to take my liner tape and I'm going to grab the ends there with my tweezers and pull those outward, but I'm not going to remove them completely because I want to create, I don't know what to call them. They're like little risers. They're going to hold my acetate up and not let it get taped completely down to the surface there. So in case I need to move it or shift it around, I have some wiggle room. And you'll see here as I'm starting to anchor it down. So I flipped it over and I'm working on the back side right now and trying to anchor it down, but I didn't get it quite nice and level and flat. And I had the right hand corner there at the top kind of buckling on me. So it was really good that I didn't have the tape completely exposed so I could go in and pull that up without destroying the whole card. So now that I can shift this around and get it located where I want it, and again, I noticed, it's still transferring to my fingers, and I didn't want to get any fingerprints or smudges on the card, so that's why I have that tissue handy there so I can just use it under my fingertips to avoid smearing anything or reactivating that alcohol ink. So I'm just blotting there and pressing down firmly, making sure everything is glued nice and tight there to the card. And then I can go around and grab those little liner tapes and pull the liner papers out, and everything is mounted nice and straight. And then I'm going to mount the window that goes on the inside. This is going to line it, make it look all nice and tidy on the inside. And you don't have to do this, but I decided I would try it. Make it look nicer on the inside. And I noticed my acetate needed to be trimmed down just a little bit more. So I'm just going to come in with my scissors here. And I was really glad I put all that tape towards the interior edges of my opening there. So then I had some room to get under that because I didn't want to take it off now that I've got it mounted on there. So I could get in there with my detail scissors and trim off that excess acetate. And now I'm going to mount this particular panel in place the same way I did before. I'm going to pull the liner papers away partially. This will give me some wiggle room in case I don't get it on perfectly straight, but I want to make sure that all the interior edges of those openings are lined up. So even if the exterior isn't, I can work with that and deal with that, but if the interior is wonky, it won't look so good. So this is a really good thing to remember about these liner papers. So now that I've got pretty much everything anchored where it needs to go, I'm just going to press firmly in those spots and then come around the perimeter and just grab those little tails and pull those off. And everything now is nicely mounted and secure, and it's all sandwiched in there nice. And there we go. The card is almost finished. Now you can see there's what it looks like when you close it, and so you can see through the whole thing. Now to get the greeting on there, I decided the best way to mount it would be to use sheet adhesive, and this is Stick It. And I'm just putting a piece of this on one side of some solar white cardstock. I'm just trimming off the excess glue there so it doesn't get caught on my cutting pads in my die cutting machine. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Beautiful die, and I'm going to die cut at that end right through the white cardstock, and we'll cut through the adhesive on the back because this adhesive is like tissue thin. It's super easy to die cut through. And I'm going to use my piercing tool to go through the pokey holes here and disengage that die from the paper. And then my die was kind of stuck there. Sometimes when you've got words stacked like that, it's a little bit tricky. So you have to go a little bit slower in trying to release it from the rest of the paper. Then I'm going to take that same die and I'm going to flip that paper over, and now I'm going to die cut through the adhesive side instead of the cardstock side. And that way it's going to put adhesive over the front of the Beautiful die. And then when I sandwich them together, I'll be able to mount the one that has the cardstock surface on the front of the card. And then to conceal all the adhesive on the back side, I will take the other die cut and remove the liner paper from the top of it. And then I can just open up my card. Here I'm just kind of futzing around a little bit, getting this mounted into place. Sometimes it's a little bit tricky with these stacked words. They just, have a tendency to get just a little bit tangled there. So I had to slow myself down because I was in such a hurry because I was like, oh, this is turning out so cute. I love it. And I have to remind myself, slow down, girl. So now I've removed the liner from the other die, and I'm sorry, that's not like a spider or anything. That's me. I had pulled my hair up into a ponytail to get it off my face and out of my way, and I didn't realize that it was creeping into the camera there. Sorry about that. So just ignore that and focus on the die work I'm doing here. I'm going to use my tweezers to anchor this and make sure it lines up perfectly with the Beautiful that's on the outside of the card front. Here I'm just burnishing with some wax paper and my fingertips here just to make sure I've got it mounted firmly. And then when I close it, you'll see how it's nice and finished on the inside. And then I've got that die on the outside, and it all looks so nice and tidy. And then I wanted to add one little bit of extra embellishment. So I'm going to use these Pink Fresh Studio wooden stickers that have just really fun shapes. And they have a swash of paint along half the wooden piece. And I just think they're so cute. And they already have like a glue dot on the back of them. So all I had to do was just pick a spot where it would look really good and plunk it down there, and that's it. I'm not going to embellish it any further because I think the rainbow effect and the clear transparency and the texture and the stitching from the cute dies by Avery Owl and that little Pink Fresh Studios wooden heart, I think it just finished it off beautifully. This was such a fun card to make. I could really seriously make a whole stack of these. I love it so much. There's more details at the Classroom blog, and all the supplies are available at ellenhutson.com. Thanks for watching.